All right. I am now going to talk about the final exam for Stats 21. I appreciate your patience in just getting this video and document up. Okay, so the final exam, it is scheduled for finals week, and ours is scheduled for Wednesday, June 9th, and it is scheduled for 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. So that's kind of the time I expect most students will take it. But I will also host a second time from 6 to 9 p.m. Just in case this 11:30 is not a good, if you're somewhere around the world or something, perhaps 6 p.m. Will offer a better time for you. So that's something that we will leave as an option as well. Okay, the exam is going to be open book. So any kind of notes that I posted, the textbook that I've posted online as well, the textbook, the Think Python, any of those textbooks that we've referenced, that's fine. Okay. As far as what websites are you allowed to go to and things like that, we're going to have to go a little bit on the honor code here, but I do believe you can use these websites here, and these are all the kind of official Python documentation, and there's still a lot that you can do and search for, kind of with these things. So for example, so you can reference the Python language reference, the NumPy reference, the API reference for pandas, and matplotlib. Okay, so any of these sites you can do. And if you want to kind of make sure that you're not going to be breaking any kind of rules, all right, you can still do a Google search, right? So for example, like if you forgot, how do you insert an item into a list, right? So you do insert item. And basically all you have to do is you specify the site, right? So you can do insert item into a list, and then you're going to just say site docs.python.org, okay? And this will limit Google search to just one of these allowed websites. And so basically all of the search results will come from the Python documentation, okay? And so right away, generally Google's really good. You click the first link and it says, oh, data structures, more on lists. And you can see right away, okay, there is list.insert. And that's going to kind of tell you how to insert something into a list, okay? Or for example, how do you create a date index or something in pandas? Okay, again, you'll just do index, and then you'll do site is going to be pandas high data. Okay, and here we have time series date functionality, and you can kind of click this, and there will be documentation here. Okay, so so basically, I don't want you guys going on sites like Stack Exchange, and I don't want you just typing into Google, like, how do I do all of this, right? I want you guys to get used to kind of using the documentation, just because that's really the authoritative source. Okay, so it's difficult for me to kind of enforce this. We're going to have to go on the honor code here. But it's also going to be very apparent, for example, if you find some site that has some code written and you kind of just copy and paste that, that kind of stuff is easy to detect. Okay. All right. I think this is clear. No collaboration is allowed. All right. So the way we're going to do the exam is we're going to proctor it via Zoom. So you're going to have to log into Zoom at either one of these times, from 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. or from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And you're just going to log in to Zoom. You're going to have your cameras on, your mics are muted. And this is mostly to ensure that you are working on the exam alone, that you're not kind of getting together with classmates and doing the exam together or something like that. That's it's a bit of a concern when you have these kinds of take-home exams. or these exams where you're, not being proctored at school. So, but, I'm not going to be recording. This is kind of I feel like the least invasive way we can have some sort of proctoring and whatnot. Okay. So just make sure you are available during one of these times. If for whatever reason neither of these work for you, let me know right away, and I'll try to see what availability I have to accommodate you. Okay. All right. And so the way the exam is going to work is I'm going to provide a Jupyter notebook, an IPyNB file that's going to have the questions in it. I'll also upload it, any kind of CSV file with the data. And I would say the exam is going to be divided into two main parts. One part is going to be dealing with pandas and Matplotlib, and kind of, I want to make sure you can kind of summarize and manipulate and work with a data set. I think that's a very important skill, and also, produce some basic visualizations with it. So, I would say make sure you go through these lectures 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, and 6.1, as that covers pandas and Matplotlib. And yeah, so that's what you'll do. And so some of the topics or tasks that I might give you, and I'm going to try to be mindful of the time that you have. It's really difficult for me to estimate how long an exam should take. I'm going to try to plan the exam to be 2 hours or less, and I'll just give you guys the full 3 hours to work. So we will see how that goes. Basically, I kind of give myself a certain amount of time, and I try to make sure I can kind of do, like, if I'm planning for an exam that's about 2 hours, I generally give myself something like 30 to 40 minutes to complete it. And I figure, okay, I'll, multiply that by a factor of, 3 to 4 or something. And that's kind of my guess for how long something might take you guys. But, I don't know. Sometimes it's different. So anyway, these are some of the tasks I might ask you to do in Pandas. I might ask you to change the index, or I might ask you to create a date-based index, or you might have to re-index the data, okay? And so, I might ask you to do some or several of these things. I don't want to give away too much exactly what you're going to be dealing with, but these are some of the things. And there's examples of this stuff in the lectures. And so, one thing I would recommend is just kind of play around with pandas and see if you can do some of these things. I'll ask you to kind of subset or filter certain rows of the data based on some kind of criteria. You'll also, I'll also ask you to create summaries, right? So I'll say, group it by a certain variable, and I want you to calculate the mean of each group, or the standard deviation of each group, or something along those lines. Okay. I might also have you calculate a new column, or calculate correlations between columns. And then after you do that, you might be asked to make a few kind of visualizations, right? So you might be asked to make a numeric line plot, or some kind of side-by-side bar plot. I didn't write it here, but perhaps even a scatter plot. So some kind of plot based on the data and whatnot. And so hopefully, that will reflect that you have at least a decent grasp of kind of just working with pandas. And another way you can practice is you can go on Data Camp, and you can look up kind of the chapters related, or the courses related to pandas. And there's also practice with pandas. And so there's, I think, a data manipulation course and things like that. Okay. And then the other part of the exam will be some Python programming. And so I will ask you to write some functions, and I'll also ask you to write a class definition. So these functions, without again, giving away too much, I'm going to kind of give you a few tasks. I'll say, write a function that takes in this argument and does this, right? So it could be something like that, a function that takes in a list and prints, I don't know, changes all the words. And, this is an example that, I'm not going to actually put in, but, maybe makes all the words capitalized or, rearranges the contents of the list to be alphabetical and prints them out or something, generally these tasks, the functions, the goal of when I think of these problems, I'm not thinking of some overly complicated function. It's going to be a function that can probably be solved in around 5 lines of code, 5 lines of code or less. Now, are you allowed to write a function that's longer than 5 lines of code? Yes, you can, right? If you can't think of some quick way to solve the problem, you are allowed to write a more complicated function that has, multiple lines and things like that, and, or a bunch of lines. But the goal, at least for me, when I write a function, is not to challenge you in writing some giant long function, but, something, a simple task to see, can you handle? And primarily, I would say the functions are going to be centered around strings, tuples, and lists, maybe some things with numbers and things like that. But you should familiarize yourself with kind of the string methods, tuple methods, and lists, and things like that. So, so those are going to be kind of the some of the things that you might be asked, right? So like, if I give you a string, can you extract out the numbers or the digits or whatever, right? Okay. And then, and so that there will probably be a few of these functions that you'll be asked to write. And again, as I'm still writing the exam and working on it, how many of these I'll put in is, we'll have to kind of figure out how long the exam should be. Okay. And then lastly, I will ask you to create a class definition. And so if you need to review lectures 7.1, 7.3, or 8.1 regarding class definitions and special Python methods, you should do that. And so these class definitions will have, maybe you have to write a method, but also it will definitely incorporate some of, you'll want to use some of Python's double under methods, okay? And so you should kind of familiarize yourself with these. And probably in the instructions, I won't necessarily say you have to use this particular method, but I'll say, your class, you should be able to compare one class with another, or you should be able to kind of add objects of your class together. And if you see that you're supposed to be able to add objects of your class together, then you'll know that you need to use the double under add method. Or if you need to be able to compare them and sort them, you'll know that you need to use the double under less than LT in order to kind of compare one instance of the class with another instance there. Okay, so this is, I would say this is a good description of what the final exam will kind of look like without getting into the specifics of the actual data that you're going to be working with or the actual questions that you're going to be working with, but it should give you a sense of what kind of topics and questions you will be tested on. So there's going to be, no SQL in there. I won't put in Seaborn or, basically what I've put in this document. These are the kinds of tasks and questions that you can expect to appear on the final exam. Okay, that's it. Have good luck as you study. And again, the final exam is scheduled for Wednesday, June 9th. And I expect probably a lot of you at 11:30, and some of you will see at 6 o'clock. All right, and also, I do have, I guess, a lecture scheduled for Friday, so we'll see you then as well.